Hey everyone, I want to go over the source requirements for our next essay. And I want to just spend this tutorial going over the type of sources I'm looking for, where you can find them, and how you can format them. So first of all, when you look at our assignment page, you will see that I'm going to require 3 sources for this next essay. Now, it's going to be the same for option 1, which is to write a petition and publish it in change.org. And it's going to be the same for option 2, which is to write an evaluation. So the source requirements don't change. They are exactly the same for both essays. Now, for the first requirement, what I'm looking for is a current source, and it has to be from a magazine or a newspaper. Obviously something that is, well-known, credible. Please do not choose a blog. Choose a legitimate magazine or newspaper. And when I do say legitimate, I'm talking about, something that is being circulated in our society and that has an audience base. Maybe not like it doesn't have to have a huge audience base, but it should at least have some. LA Times would be an example. Washington Post can be another example. Newsweek, whatever it is that you're interested in, and I will show you guys a place where you can find it. Now, that's source number 1. Those are relatively easy to find because newspaper and magazine articles are circulating online every single day. Now, the second source is a scholarly source. So let me just explain what that means. A scholarly source is somebody who has a high degree, who is writing in the field that he or she has studied in. So a scholarly source is the type of article that's written that comes from a professional who's writing in the field itself. So I guess, I hate to put it like this, but they're a lot more credible because obviously these people are in the fields that they're writing about. These people are doing the research and these people are reporting their findings. So these are the kinds of sources that are extremely valuable, but also kind of hard to find. So I am going to show you guys how to find some good scholarly articles. And finally, the third source is one that you can choose yourself. And it could be another media source, so it could be a magazine or newspaper source. It could be a multimedia source, and I will go over the type of multimedia sources you might want to select. I'll show you guys a whole category of them. It's basically whatever source you would like to choose for yourself, for your essay, whatever you think is relevant. Also, multimedia option or media option, you can select a blog, especially if the person who is writing the blog does have some credibility. There's some blogs out there, for example, Psychology Today. This is a pretty well-known blog page. It is technically a blog, but it has a whole lot of credibility. So, of course, you could select a source like that. Now, how do you format these sources? And that's what I would like to show you first. So when you go to the Purdue Owl website, and this is the link that I have attached, it's in our week 1 module, and it's also a quick link that's on our assignment page. Now, if you come to the main page, notice it says MLA General Format, and then there's a little citation machine here. So if you do happen to find a source online, feel free to copy paste the URL right here, and there you go. It'll cite it for you, which is absolutely wonderful. You even have the option to select the kind of source you have. So even if you find a journal article, you can copy paste and make sure that the citation is accurate. This didn't used to exist. It's actually in the latest update, which I love, and it makes citation so much easier. So let me first show you guys what kind of sources we're looking for and the kind of possibilities you guys have. So let me just close this ad. Okay, so we're first of all looking for a newspaper or a magazine article. Let's face it, most of the time newspapers and magazines are published online. It's very rare nowadays that we're going to go and read a physical newspaper in hard copy, but of course you can, and if that is the case, then of course you want to go to the periodicals and then go to the basic format. But most of the sources are electronic, and when you click on the electronic sources, you have so many options here. So my guess is that you guys are going to be citing articles that you found from various websites. And if you do cite that, this is the rule that you should follow. It's called a page on a website. And it's basically the same as an article from a website. So how do you cite it? Well, you cite the author's last name and first name. You cite the article's title. You cite the name of the website. So this is from eHow. And then you are supposed to also cite the full URL and the access date. So what does that mean? The access date is the date that you found this article. Notice how the second example gives you the same thing, except there is no author listed. This happens sometimes, you know, sometimes it's like a staff writer and they don't identify an author's name, which is perfectly fine. So I'm guessing that the majority of you are going to find a source that's from a website and you're going to have to cite it. So this is what you would follow here. Now, when it comes to periodicals, when it comes to scholarly sources, we're going to continue down here and notice how it says an article in a scholarly journal. And there's one that says an article from an online database. So they're basically the same thing. Now, the online database is what we have access to here in GCC. So if I wanted to, I could actually go to the GCC library and find the article completely there, and then use the article information and follow along these rules. Now, it's really important that you do a correct citation. Why? Because I need to know the source that you got your scholarly article information from. This is how I know. There's always going to be an author, there's always going to be a title, there's always going to be a journal name. There's also going to be a volume and issue number most of the time. There's going to be a publication date. There's going to be a page number that the article can be found. And then, of course, there's going to be the like the URL or the source number. So if this is from, let's say, an electronic subscription, it gives you kind of like similar to a URL, it gives you the location of it. And then, of course, the date that you accessed it. Now, again, I don't think you guys will need to worry about this complicated citation, because if you find a source from our school's library database, then you're set, because most of our databases cite our sources for us, which is amazing. What I wanted to show you guys, one last thing, was that multimedia option. So I'm here in electronic sources, and when I click on other common sources, I have some possibilities here. And all of these possibilities are multimedia options. For example, interviews. For example, broadcasts, it could be speeches, it could be podcasts, continuing on, paintings. So any kind of visual is considered multimedia. A song is considered multimedia. A movie, a TV show, and notice how the list goes on. And I want to give you guys that option for your third source to select a multimedia source if you think it's a good one to use. So why the hell not? Let's experiment with our sources and let's use different kinds of sources as long as we know that they are credible. So what I wanted to also show you guys is going back to our page, just to remind you of what the requirements were. Just to remind you of what the requirements were. I did want to show you guys how you can find some really good scholarly options and some really good newspaper and magazine options through our library's website. Now, I'm going to take you step by step. Let's first go to our library. When you go to the GCC main page, click on library, and you will see right here the research possibilities. I would like to go to the databases just to see what our school subscribes to, and notice how these are like the recommended ones. They're the main ones that our school uses. I recommend using ProQuest. This is huge, okay? ProQuest is amazing. And notice how I just did a search here because this is a hot topic. I wanted to see what was out there. A hot topic at the moment is, the possibility of defunding the police. Now, this is being talked about at the moment, which is why I was researching it. I'm not trying to make any kind of claims here, but let's just see what's out there. So when I go to advanced search and I push enter and I'm waiting for my results, now notice I have over 7,000 results here. That's a lot. But what I would like to show you guys is these possibilities. These are the source types. So if I click on more, I will be able to see all of the source types. Notice how there's magazines and there's newspapers. So if our source number 1 was supposed to be a newspaper or a magazine source, well, you can filter and include that. So I'm going to say include newspapers. I'm going to say include magazines. And that second source was scholarly articles. So I am going to also mark scholarly journals and click apply. Now I come across all of the sources that include the type of sources I'm looking for. So notice it says at the bottom newspaper. I continue scrolling. Here are all the newspaper options. Let me see if there's any scholarly options. I can also filter them individually if I really want. So all this is, I'm going to go on page 4 just to see. There's a whole lot of pages. It's actually more information than I have use for. So clearly I need to go back to my search and maybe add a little bit more specifics here. But let me just exclude newspapers. I really want to show you guys sorry, my internet is a little bit slow. I really want to show you guys the scholarly options right here. It says scholarly journals. Now, notice how it gives you the possibility of the full text and the full text PDF. Every time there's a full text PDF, please click on that. Why? Because it gives you a more specific account of the article inside of the book or inside of the journal. So it'll make it easier for you to cite the page numbers of that article. Now, I just want to show you guys when I click here, it'll open up the actual article itself. I can read the abstract. I can download the PDF. I could do whatever I want, honestly, with this. But one more thing, and this is the last thing, and this is amazing that I want to show you, is the citation option. I'm going to click Cite right here and I want to make sure that it is the MLA. I don't want to do the APA because notice how it has all of these possibilities here for citation. I want the latest MLA, done, bam. And all I have to do, sorry, I closed it too early. All I have to do is copy paste this into my works cited. And there we go. I am done with my works cited page. So I don't have to worry about trying to hunt for the different rules for citations. And that would be our 3 source requirements. Number 1 being from a newspaper or magazine. Number 2 being a scholarly article. And the third one being whatever you want it to be, whatever you think is relevant and appropriate for your argument. So I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to ask me questions.